Hi, and welcome to the second tutorial on how to use Google Forms. In the first tutorial, we looked at how students could use Google Forms as a survey between their peers in the school or even in the community. In the second tutorial, we're going to show you how you, as a teacher, can use Google Forms for assessment. All right, once again, we have started here in the resource pack folder that has been shared with you, and we're going to go into the step-by-step instructions folder where the link to this video will be posted, and we're going to create this Google form in the example forms folder. You'll notice that already the Ice Cream Sundays for School form is in here that we made in the last tutorial. Once again, to create a form, we go across to the left hand side where it says create and a big red button, and select Google Forms from the list that's provided. We are going to share this with you, and because we have created a shared folder, it will ask the question, just confirming that we want to share it with all those people that we have shared the previous folder with. Again, a new tab is created and is working pretty slowly again today, so apologise for the internet and for the computer speed. Things just might take a little bit longer, which will give us time to look at and see what we're actually doing. Alright, it's nearly finished. Same as before, things looking very much the same, some options and menus at the top, titled name here, and we've got our first question already generated, but it's called untitled question. So let's go ahead and give this form a title, which will determine what the name of the file in our Google Drive is going to be called. For the example that we're going to do today, we will find out how we can use it as a maths test. It's going to be a very simple maths test, but let's put in the title here, Maths Assessment, and it's always good to know which one it was, so let's just put Term 4, that will do us. Okay, now the first question is already generated and is chosen to be a multi-choice. We are going to change that. So to change the type of question from multi-choice to something else, you click on the button with the arrow to the side, the arrow to the side there, either or, and it will give you the options that you can change it to. To start the test, we want the students to identify who they are. That's the most important question. The thing that people can do is put their name at the top, so let's select text, because they will type in their name. Obviously they need to know what they're about to type in, so just tell them first name and then click done. Alright, now we're going to add in their last name. So to do that we need to add an item. So click the arrow, add an item, and we select text. Same as before, but this time last name. Alright, now one thing I haven't done for the first one is made it required. I'm going to make the last name required so that they can't finish or go on to the next page without putting in their name. And I will go back to the first name and make it required as well. So to do that, you just go up here and you'll notice that it sort of turns this darker grey colour to show what you're selecting. Click it, and then you can choose to make it required as well. You can also drag things around. You'll notice that when we're hovering over the different questions or names or fields or whatever it is, there's those four-way arrow mouse cursor that shows up. If you want to switch it around so they do last name first, simply click on and hold down the mouse when it's that four-way arrow and move it to where you want to put it. In this case, we're just going to put it just above. So now we've got last name first and then first name, and they are both required. Okay, now if you remember from the first tutorial, when students filled out the form, it automatically gave a date, so we don't need to put a date in here, but you can do that. You can create a date field, but we're going to leave it just like that. Great. Alright, the next thing, let's get rid of that, press done, is we're going to create a new page so that when the students open up the form, first of all ask you for your first and last name, the last and first name in this case, and then they need to proceed to the next page. This test we're going to do is going to be multiplication, division, and fractions. Just nice and simple though, not too many questions, otherwise we'll be here all day. So to create a new page, you go add item, but we're not going to add a question, we're going to add a page break. Similar to a Word document, if you're familiar with Google Word, Google Documents or Microsoft Word, any kind of thing, insert a page break. And then it will ask you what do you want to call the first page, or the second page in this case. And so we're going to call that multiplication, as that's the first area that we're going to go for. All right. Any description? No, we'll just leave it nice and simple, multiplication. So now you can see that there is a second page created. It says page 2 of 2. The first one says page 1 of 2. So there is actually a break there, which is great. Now we can add items to either the first page or the second page. The first page is fine, so let's add some items to the second page. So go click, add, and we're going to start off nice and simple just to recap what we did in our first tutorial by adding a multi-choice question. Great. So this multi-choice question is going to be nice and simple, and we're going to use some words here. What is 21 times 4? Okay, and you could write that another way, 21 times 4 equals, but we'll play around with that as we go. Now we have to choose the answers. Okay, obviously you don't always want to put the right answer first, otherwise kids may recognize that and just always select the first answer. So let's think of some other answers that is not the correct one. Now I know that 21 times 4 is 84, so let's go something that's close to 84. 88, how about that? And select another answer, 21 times 4, let's try 42. It's always good to select answers that are kind of related to the numbers so that the correct answer is not super obvious, especially with these multi-choice questions. Let's put in the correct answer, 84, and let's add one more option just by clicking again down in there, and let's just go 25 just to finish it off. Nice and simple. What is 21 times 4? 4 options provided. Great. Let's do another question. Remember, once you've used multi-choice or a particular question type, then you can just keep replicating the same type of field that you're entering by clicking add. All right, the next question, let's see, another multiplication, but let's make it a little bit different. 2.5 times 3. I haven't really picked a level that this is aiming for, but it equals. All right, and the options that we're going to provide for that. Let's do a fake answer first, false one, and then I'll make the correct answer. The second option this time, 7.5, that's another one, 5, and just to be really confusing, 75. Make sure they get that decimal in the right place. Okay, so that's 2 questions. Right, so that's using multi-choice. Another one that we can use is by adding a paragraph. Now the difference between text and paragraph is text is just a small amount of text, like a name or a place or something like that, whereas paragraph enables whoever is using the form to write a good amount. This could be good for general comments or feedback, things like that. In this case, we're going to use it in our assessment. And we're going to make this question at the end here something a little bit more open so they can write a paragraph. So let's get them to explain how you would work out the problem. Explain how you would work out 34 times 3. All right. Now, this question here, if the student doesn't know, it's not multi-choice, it's not super easy. So I'm going to leave it so that it's not required, so they can actually skip this one out. But the other 2 that I've created, I want them to at least select one of them because it's multi-choice. So I'm going to go back, click on each of those questions, click down here, required question, done, go up to the first one, click the area for that question, once again making it required, and then done to finish. Alright, so there's a good little multiplication, very short obviously, but that's good for us today. Now I want to do is add another page break, so click the arrow next to add item at the bottom of your page. If you were to go up and create a page break underneath where you've got your names, then it would create obviously the page break between those pages. So we want to go one after the other. So I'm going to add an item down the bottom. Let's make sure I'm doing this in the right place. Yeah. So add an item, click the arrow, select page break once again. This page here is going to not be multiplication anymore, it's going to be division. And I don't need any extra information or descriptions there, so I'm just going to go done. Alright, page number 3, division. Alright, once again, I'm going to start off by doing a multi-choice question. So I'm going to create one, and I'm going to do a division question this time. So what is 24 divided by 6? What is 24 divided by 6? Now I've chosen to use the word divided by, because unfortunately it's not very easy to get the symbol divided by, or the division symbol. You can use obviously the forward slash, as most digital calendars will use, calculators, sorry, but I'm just going to make it simple and easy for my students there. Alright, so let's put in some answers there for this test. 24 divided by 6. It's not 6. It's not 2. It's not 12. And we put the correct answer at the bottom of the 4 answers is 4. There we go. And then I will make this required. So tick the box once again and then go done. We've got our first question. And I think we'll just repeat that again, add a new item, multi-choice, and we'll do something a bit differently. And let's look at remainder. So what? And I'll go how many remainder would there be from dividing, go 14 by 4. So obviously there's 3 4s into 12, and that would mean 2 remainder. So let's put in the answers here. Let's go 10, 2, 18, and one last one, 3, just because it's close. Alright, so now we've got 2 questions there for our division, and once again I think we will make that required so that they have to complete that because it's multi-choice. And we'll go done, and just like in multiplication we will add a text-based answer at the end, so we'll go add item paragraph. So once again, add item paragraph text, and this question will be again to explain. So explain how you would solve the division problem of 468 divided by 2. Spelling there, fix them up. Joy of Google Chrome providing squiggly read line. Alright, and obviously they've got that paragraph text box there that they can complete their answer in there and use lots and lots of words to do that. Great, so that is once again 3 questions for division. Now let's do something a little bit different for fractions, but first of all we need to create the page. So go down at the bottom of division and create once again the page break. Now just to show you that before, actually no, we'll do it at the end. It's like slides on a slideshow, each page one after the other. So let's create the page break once again, very different pages, and we'll call this one fractions. Don't need a description, so we'll just click done, and then we need to add our first item. Alright, for this first item we're not going to do a multi-choice, we're going to do a different type of multi-choice, but using tick boxes. Alright, so add item tick boxes, and the question we're going to ask here is tick all the answers that are equivalent to, I'll put it in the quotation mark things there, and we use words just because we want to expand the students' understanding of phrases, make sure that they understand what they read like. So tick all the answers that are equivalent to 1/3. Okay, so let's remember the difference here is that these boxes are square. With the multi-choice ones, they can only, I'll show you, multi-choice, they can only select one, and that's turned around. The difference is that when it's tick boxes, they can select more than one. So that's going to be exactly what we want for this. So what is a fraction that is equivalent to 1/3? Well, let's just write it out in plain fraction format there. Another one is 12/36, and just to be a bit confusing, we'll put a couple of wrong answers in there, so 2 wrong, 2 right, and so we'll go 3/36, and what about 1/33? Very different. Okay, done. Alright, I think that is actually enough. We don't need to create any more. We could obviously finish that off, but I think that's probably enough for those who are going to be here forever. I think it's important that they put at least one answer here in the fraction, so I'm going to go back into here and make sure that that is required. Okay, now let's just check off the settings at the top and the bottom of Google Forms. So let's go right back to the top and show the progress bar at the bottom of the page. Well, since this form has multiple pages, there's 4 of them in fact, we're going to tick that so that they can see as they track along that they've only got 2 pages to go, or they're halfway through, or whatever. Only allow one response from a person. I think that's very important since it's an assessment. And I don't actually think that it's important to shuffle these questions, because you may strategically place your questions in a form so that it scaffolds the children progressively through difficulty or whatever. So let's scroll right down to the bottom now. Go down here, and we have got again the opportunity to change the little message that appears once they submit the completed form. We can publish and show the results, which obviously we don't want to do for a formal test or anything like that. That's a little bit sensitive. Do we want them to edit after submitting? Because students might be able to talk to their friends afterwards and sneak back in, we're going to say no. So we're going to leave that as is, but we have changed it at the top so that they can see the progression. All right, let's once again change the theme. To do it this time, instead of going to view, we're going to use the quick button that is there, change theme. It's at the top there next to edit questions. So we're going to switch from edit question mode to change theme mode by clicking change theme. Alright, our themes have come across here on the right hand side, and we can use the scroll bar on the right to go down through and view a bunch of them. There's all sorts of ones there. I can see one with dice and stuff, so that might be a good one for maths. Obviously you don't have to do a theme at all, but it's nice, and students appreciate the colour too, so there we go. That's me done, so let's go back to the edit questions. just check everything off. So the name's required. We've got 2 required questions and then an explanation question at the end of multiplication. We've got 2 required questions in division and an explanation question at the end, and then I've got just this 1 fraction question. Oh, it's not much fraction. Alright, so let's have a look at what that looks like and let's fill in the data. Let's view the live form. This is a good way of viewing the form, but unfortunately to go through it you actually have to add the data, but that's fine for us today, so let's view live form. It's creating a new tab here. Right, takes a while to get there, but she does. Alright, last name. It's a bit confusing putting that first, but that's fine. Programs. And Stephen. Continue. Alright, you'll notice that the little progression bar says we're at 25% because that's 1 of 4 pages. Right, even that's making the kids think about maths. Alright, math assessment, term 4, multiplication. What is 12 times 4? Well, I know the answer to that, but the students may not. What's 2.5 times 3 equals? Okay, and obviously it doesn't tell you get the wrong answer or anything like that if you select the wrong one, so let's select the wrong answer. Explain how you would work out 34 times 3. I'm smart. Obviously that's not the answer a teacher would be looking for. And actually just to prove that you can move on to the next page without having anything written in there, let's just remove that and go continue. Okay, you can go back, but not after you've submitted the form. Alright, division. What is 24 divided by 6? 4. How many remainder would there be from dividing 14 by 4? 2. Explain how you would solve. Okay. Where's my brain? Alright. It'll show up in the data. Okay, and the last fraction question here is a tick box. Now it says tick all the answers that are equivalent to 1/3. So I can tick them all actually, even though that's not right, but you can see that we can tick them. But obviously in the data we want to show you the difference, so let's untick a couple. Okay, alright, now that we have finished, the submit button comes up. It's no longer continue, so we click submit. Great, so we have just been the first person to fill out our brand new Google form for our maths assessment in term 4. Alright, let's close that tab and go back to our Google Drive, that first tab that may already be open. If not, navigate back to Google Drive and find that folder, example forms. You'll notice now that we have got 2 forms with the same green logo with the 2 little lines. Ice Cream Sundays for School from the first tutorial, Maths Assessment Term 4 for this one, and then a spreadsheet created with the responses from our maths assessment. So let's have a look at that. One thing I have noticed that, and just to word of caution for the pros, is that the order that you create the different questions in is the order that they appear in the spreadsheet here. I think you can fix that by deleting the spreadsheet and then regenerating it, or telling it to create a new one, and it puts it in the right order. But if you change the order of the questions, the spreadsheet keeps the columns in the same order, which can be a little bit confusing at times if you have the name at the end or in the middle, or things like that. So let's go through. What is 21 times 4? First of all, let's check the date here, time, name, last name. What is 21 times 4? 84. Yes, if you have a look, sorry, just go back here. First name, last name. First name was added in first, last name was second, but then we switched them around. But it's kept the order in here, so that's just a good little example of that. And so we got that one right, got that one wrong, and obviously there is no magical way, because this is not specifically a test generating tool, to tell if you got them right or wrong. But as the student's name appear down the left-hand side here and all the answers, you can quickly go through and you'll see trends of right answers and wrong answers, and that will give you information to inform your future teaching or planning. Here's the text field here from our first multiplication to explain something, which is empty. This is one here from our division, which has got with my brain as the answer for that one. And then in here, it gives you the selections of those tick boxes, sorry, a third and 133rd. Cool. All right, well, there we go. That is the data there that we've used as an example. And both of these will remain in that folder for you to look at. I might delete, go back to Google Forms, I might delete this response here so you can just have a look at these forms here yourself and maybe fill them out for yourself. But there we go. Using it as assessment. It's got some cool tools and you can set them up, make them available to students they go through. It's a little bit different. Multi-choice options there, really cool. If that's how you like to do things, but also there's some cool things there you can do with paragraphs and tick boxes and stuff. So have a play around, have a look. Yeah, neat little tool, quite powerful, and can be used by the teacher, by the students, a whole lot. So yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed that and appreciate it and find it useful in your teaching. Thanks. Bye.